So I'm going to be explaining the homework here. Number 1, 8 squared. That's really the base 8 times itself 2 times. So 8 times 8 is 64. Moving on, number 3, 5 to the third. That's really 5 times itself 3 times. So as we go through this, 5 times 5, that's 25. Bring down the times 5. That's really saying, like, if you had 5 quarters, how much money would you have? You'd have $1.25. That's 125. Let's move on to number 5 right here. Of course, we're going to be doing the correct order of operations, and we have this up at the front corner of our classroom to help us remember the correct order. So we start with P parentheses, and we have parentheses right here. And how do parentheses work? They tell us to zoom in and do whatever we can on the inside of the parentheses. So on the inside of the parentheses, we have 5 plus 4, which is 9. And then I'm going to keep the parentheses even though there's nothing else to do there. And I'll just rewrite the outside times 7 right there. So after doing parentheses, there's no exponents, but we do have multiplication. So 9 times 7 is 63, and that would be our final answer, 63 for that one. Let's jump to number 7. We have 2 operations. Obviously, we do multiplication before addition. So when we multiply first, 6 times 3 is 18. Then I bring down the rest, the 4 plus 18. So 4 plus 18, that is 22. So that's our final answer for number 7. Let's jump to number 9. We're doing the odd ones. Number 9. Again, if I'm going too fast, you have the opportunity to hit pause and rewind and all that other fun stuff. So anyways, we're going to start with P parentheses. We do have parentheses. That tells us to zoom in. And we all know that 3 plus 5 is 8. So what I want to do is I want to write down the number 8. I'm doing the 3 plus 5, we get 8. And I'm going to rewrite everything exactly the way it is. We still need the plus 1 over here. So after doing parentheses, we move on to E, exponents. And there are no exponents here. After that, you move on to multiplication or division. So we're multiplying. 8 times 5 is 40. Bring down the plus 1, which final answer is 41. Let's jump to number 11. Number 11, we have 3 operations: subtraction, multiplication, and addition. So if you think about subtraction, multiplication, or addition, you're going to start obviously with multiplication. So you could include that minus sign and think of it as negative 5 times 4, which is negative 20. And then you could rewrite everything, bring down the 30, bring down the plus, bring down the 2. And after that, you have subtraction and addition. And of course, you're going to go from left to right there. So 30 take away 20, that's 10, and 10 plus 2, that's 12. So your final answer is 12. However, I mentioned that you could include the minus sign, but you don't have to include the minus sign. Let me go back and erase this right here. We're going to get to the same answer, just done without including that minus sign. So as you can see, I've erased everything, and I'm going to start over. Again, multiplication first. So you could say 5 times 4 is 20. And then bring down the 30, bring down the minus 20 and the plus 2. And 30 minus 20 from left to right, 30 minus 20 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. So you get the same exact answer either way. Jump to number 13. So we have all these different operations. Do we have parentheses? No, we do not. We have exponents. Yes, we do. 3 squared. So we're going to begin with that. So when we begin with the 3 squared, keep in mind that so there are no parentheses around the negative 3. So it's really 3 squared. And what is 3 squared? That's 3 times 3, which is 9. And then after that, you rewrite everything. There's a minus sign, the 5, the times. You bring down everything. You write it down exactly the way it is. And then after that, we have 3 operations. So, of course, we have division, multiplication, subtraction. And we're going to do multiplication and division before subtraction. So when it comes to multiplying and dividing, they're both blue because they're both worth the same. So you simply go from left to right when you have multiplication or division. So you are not going to be multiplying first before dividing. In this case, from left to right, you're going to go 14 divided by 7, and then after that, times 5. So 14 divided by 7 is 2. and then bring down the rest, the times 5 minus 9. 2 times 5, when I do that, multiplication before subtraction, that is 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. So I hope everybody got that one right. Let's jump to number 15. So number 15, we do have parentheses. Now, there's not only parentheses right here, but there's also brackets. So remember, parentheses and brackets, they tell you to zoom in. So we're going to ignore the plus 5 for right now. And inside those brackets, we have subtraction and some more parentheses and exponents. So again, you're going to zoom into the parentheses again even further. So you're going to start with 6 minus 1, ignoring everything else, and 6 minus 1 is 5. So what I want to do is I want to rewrite that 5. The 6 minus 1 is 5, and I'm going to rewrite everything the way it is. The minus sign, the 30, the bracket, and from there, I now have subtraction or exponents. What do I do next? Subtraction or exponents? Exponents. What's 5 squared? 25. So inside the brackets is 30 minus 25. And we might as well bring down this 5 plus so we don't forget it. So we're still inside the brackets. And inside the brackets we have 30 minus 25. What is that? What's 30 minus 25? 5. So we really have 5 plus what you guys just said. The answer is 5. Now we don't even need the brackets anymore. 5 plus 5 is 10. We are done. And of course, you should be able to check the answers on the back of your page. Let's jump to number 17. On number 17, 19, from here on out, we are evaluating the variable expression. And when we evaluate, that simply means to what? Plug it in. That's what evaluate means. Okay, so we're going to plug in the values that they give us. They tell us that x equals 6, y equals 8, and z equals 3. So instead of x times y plus z, I'm going to have, what is x, really? What is x? Anybody? 6. So we're plugging in a 6. What's y? 3? 8? Okay, sorry. And what is z? 3. So we really have, instead of x times y plus z, it's 6 times 8 plus 3. 6 times 8 is 48. And 48 plus 3 is 51. So the final answer is 51 on number 17. Let's jump to 19. So again, x is 6, y is 8, and z is 3. So the best thing to do is to plug in with parentheses. Instead of 2 times x, let's write 2 times parentheses. Instead of 3 times y, 3 times parentheses. Instead of minus z, minus parentheses. Then you could safely plug in your value. Your x is 6, your y is 8, and your z is 3. And of course, doing the correct order of operations, we don't add first or subtract, we multiply first. There are no parentheses, there are no exponents. You start with multiplication. 2 times 6 is 12. And you could rewrite everything, or you might as well jump in and do this other multiplication. 3 times 8 is 24. And of course, bring down the plus sign, bring down the minus sign and the 3. So we just have addition and subtraction left. From left to right, 12 plus 24 is 36. And 36 minus 3, bring down that minus 3. 36 minus 3 is 33. That's your final answer for number 19. Let's try 21. So on 21, again, I recommend for you to replace your variables with letters. So instead of z, what are we putting in right there? 3. And then we have plus, parenthesis. Now the y take away x, I already know, I'm just going to write them as numbers. What is y? 8. And then I have take away, and what is x? 6. So now we have multiplication right here, we have addition, we have parentheses, and inside the parentheses we have subtraction. So we start with parentheses. That means we're going to zoom in to the 8 minus 6. And what is 8 minus 6? 2. So we really have 2 right here. The 8 minus 6 is 2. We have the plus sign that comes down, and we have the 5 times 3 that comes down. So we're down to 2 operations. We have multiplication and addition. We obviously do multiplying before adding. So we're going to multiply first. 5 times 3 is 15. That's 15. Bring down the plus 2. Final answer is 17. Let's try 23. Once again, let's replace letters with numbers. What is x? 6. Plus, what is y? 8. And then minus 10 times, what is z? What was that? 3. Thank you very much. So when we do the math, yes, we have parentheses, but there's nothing to do inside of the parentheses, Jocelyn. After parentheses, we have exponents right here. And yes, we do have exponents. We have a 6 squared and an 8 squared. Let's do 6 squared. What is 6 times 6?
36.
36. And what is 8 times 8? 64. And let me rewrite everything. I have a minus 10 times 3. So I do have addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Addition, subtraction, and multiplication. What do we do first? Addition, subtraction, or multiplication? Multiplication. So 10 times 3 is 30. Let's bring down everything, including the signs. So let's go from left to right. Right here we have addition, subtraction. Let's go from left to right. So when I go 36 plus 64,
100.
that is 100. Then 100 minus 30.
70.
70 is your final answer. Let's try the last two questions, which are even questions. 24, let's replace z with what? 3, because z is the value of 3. And then we have plus, parenthesis. What is y? Y is 8, you said, and that is squared. And then we have minus 4 times x. What's x? 6. So I'm not just going to leave it as 6. I either have to put parentheses around the 6 or put a dot to remind us that we're multiplying. Because if you just leave it as 6 right there, you might make the mistake that it says 46, and it does not. Anyway, we do have parentheses. We have parentheses here, but there's nothing to do in there. We have parentheses here, and there's definitely exponent, subtraction, and multiplication. So let's zoom in and do, out of those three, what do I do first? Exponent, subtraction, or multiplication? Exponent. So what is 8 squared? 64. Okay, and then after that, I have the minus, the 4, the times, the 6. Now, again, this is all still in the parenthesis. So what do I do next? Multiply. And what is 4 times 6? That's 24. Let's bring down 64 minus the 24, and we're still inside of the parentheses. 64 minus 24 is 40, and we're still inside the parentheses. Now, there's nothing else to do, but I'm going to leave them there for a moment, and let me bring down everything else that I have on the outside. So on the outside, I still have this 3 to the third. So I have 3 to the third plus 40. The question is, what is 3 to the third? 27, because 3 to the third is really 3 times 3 times 3. 9 times 3 is 27. So yes, 3 to the third is 27. So let me replace the 3 to the third with 27 and then add 40 to it. That'll give you 67, which is your final answer right there. Let's jump to the last one. So again, we're first going to plug in, and what is y? 8. So we have 3 times 8. You can put in parentheses or you can put a multiplication sign. We still have plus and x squared. What is x? So I'm going to put it as 6. I'm going to put in parentheses and then square it. And it's all divided by, what is z? 3. Okay, so 3 down here. Now, I didn't actually explain this in class, guys, but whenever you have a fraction, you simplify the top, you simplify the bottom, and then at the very end, you worry about dividing. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to ignore the bottom part. So I'm just going to put a rectangle there to ignore it. On the top, I do have multiplication and exponents and addition. What do I do first?
Exponent.
Exponent first. 6 squared is? 36. So I really have 3 times 8 plus 36. What do I do next? Multiply. I have multiplication and addition. Obviously, you're going to multiply first. What's 3 times 8? 24. So you really have 24 plus 36. And ladies and gentlemen, this is still all above the value 3. But what is 24 plus 36?
60. No.
60, right?
No. Wait, I don't know.
60.
60, yeah, 60.
Now, that is all still above the value 3. So I have a 3 down here. So our final step, when you have a fraction, simplify the top, simplify the bottom, and the final step is to actually try the fraction division bar. So 60 divided by 3, that is 20. And if you check the back of your page, that is the correct answer. I've explained every single question. It'll be on Edmodo.